Did you know there are people who have spent their entire lives pretending to be someone else just to protect a secret? This movie isn't just about magic, it is about the immense sacrifices one is willing to make to be the best. It is called The Prestige, and its ending will leave you stunned. A man explains to a young girl the three parts that make up every magic trick: the pledge, where an ordinary object is shown; the turn, where something extraordinary is done with that ordinary object; and the prestige, or final part, where the disappeared object must be made to reappear, which is the hardest part. The man telling her this, John Cutter, acts as a key witness in the trial against Alfred Borden, the great rival in the magic world of Robert Angier, for whom Cutter worked as a stage engineer, designing the complex equipment for his tricks. His testimony is absolutely crucial in sentencing Borden to death for Angier's murder, as he caught him under the stage, watching as Angier drowned inside a water tank, into which he had fallen from the stage during his star act. The one where he disappeared from the stage, only to instantly reappear elsewhere. This unfortunately did not happen that time, as the magician fell into the tank, which closed after his fall, leaving Borden unable to do a single thing to save him. While awaiting his execution on death row, he is visited by a lawyer who offers him $5,000 on behalf of his client, Lord Caldlow, an amateur magician, in exchange for his tricks and devices. Borden agrees to sell them all except for the transported man, his greatest success, until the lawyer assures him that his client will take guardianship of his daughter Jess if he sells it. Otherwise, the girl will go to a state-run orphanage. The lawyer also hands him Angier's diary, where he recounts his journey to Colorado to try and discover his trick. He reads through the diary where he recounts his trip to Colorado Springs, a place where all the residents have electricity, hoping to meet Nikola Tesla so he could explain the trick of the teleportation machine to him. While waiting for Tesla to receive him, he reads Borden's diary in his hotel room, in which he remembers the moment they first met, when they were two young men with promising careers. Both started as assistants to Milton, for whom Cutter was the engineer at the time. Back in those days, they would come out as if they were part of the audience and tie up a young woman, Julia McCulloch, Angier's wife, who performed a daring escape act. She was lowered into a large water tank from which, despite her heavy bindings, she managed to escape. The act was a success, though Borden feels Milton has become far too complacent and that the audience always needs something fresh to be truly surprised. During those times, Borden met Sarah, with whom he eventually fell in love. Cutter accompanies the judge to the location of Angier's teleportation machine, explaining that there is no trick to it since he was not the one who created it. He also tells him that the water tank held a very special meaning for both Angier and Borden, recounting the tragic story of how Julia died while performing the escape trick. Borden had been responsible for tying the knot on her wrists, claiming he didn't remember which one he had tied back then. Now fully independent, Borden begins performing as the professor, hiring Bernard Fallon as his dedicated engineer and marrying Sarah, who soon becomes pregnant. His star act involves catching a live bullet fired at him by an audience member with his bare hand, a bullet that was actually never inside the gun. However, one day, the spectator chosen for the shot loads a real bullet into the gun. Borden realizes too late that the person about to shoot him is Angier, and as a result, he loses 2 fingers. Cutter visits Angier and they partner up, starting to work as the Great Denton, a name Julia suggested before she died. He hires Olivia Wenscombe as an assistant and builds a machine for him that makes an entire cage with a pigeon disappear. He brings up a spectator to help, and one day, Borden appears among the chosen spectators and ruins his trick, causing the cage to break a woman's finger, which leads to the show being cancelled. Angier remembers going to see Tesla at a session where he was going to explain the miracle of electricity, a session that couldn't take place due to the restrictions imposed on him. He notices Borden was in the audience and follows him out, seeing him as a happy family man and envying a happiness he believes should be his. However, upon reading his diary, he finds that such happiness was not pure, as he was a contradictory man whose family life sometimes fulfilled him, but at other times was a nightmare. Tesla finally receives Angier and agrees to construct the complex machine, seeing that it is a deep obsession for him, even though he knows that such obsessions rarely ever lead to a positive outcome. While waiting for the machine to be built, he remembers the moment Borden presented his new trick, the transported man, seeing how he enters one wardrobe and exits another far away. That scene. The audience doesn't know how to process it, and he wants to replicate the performance for himself, knowing he would know how to sell that trick. He's willing to steal it, claiming it's real, even though Cutter assures him the only way it works is with a double. Both Angier and Olivia, now his girlfriend, adamantly insist that there is no double involved. Cutter prepares the trick for him by hiring a double, a failed and drunken actor, allowing him to perform the same trick, which he calls the new transported man, though better marketed. This doesn't fully satisfy him, as he can't see the audience's reaction, having to hear the cheers from the pit. Consequently, he becomes obsessed with learning Borden's trick and asks Olivia to spy on him by becoming his assistant. To do this, she tells him the truth, that Angier sent her as a spy. She explains how he does his trick, which Borden had already figured out, yet he hires her anyway. Meanwhile, Tesla tests his invention, but it doesn't work as he tries to teleport Angier's top hat without success. While performing his show, Root, the double, blackmailed them after realizing the show depended on him, demanding more money. Angier agrees to his demands, so he continues until Borden premieres his show in a venue across from his. He discovers through the diary that Borden spoke with Root at the bar, making him see the power he held by having Angier at his mercy. And after gaining the double's trust, he ensures that when Angier falls into the pit, he doesn't land on a cushion but on the hard floor, leaving him with a permanent limp. Meanwhile, instead of his double coming out the other door, Borden himself appears, making the act the laughingstock of the audience once the deception is revealed. He has the double lowered from the ceiling, tied up and holding a sign announcing his own show at the theater across the street. When he meets with Olivia, he complains that Borden has taken first his wife, then his career, and finally her. She tells him that he was the one who pushed her toward him. Afterward, she tells him she's sure Borden uses a double because she sees things he never uses, though Angier thinks she's trying to deceive him. Despite everything, she gives him Borden's notebook, which she says she took for one night so he can discover his secret. However, he believes he won't be able to unravel it in such a short time, so he tells her he'll stage a robbery at Borden's workshop so she won't be blamed, giving him more time to find the keyword in it. When Olivia tells him that knowing it won't bring his wife back, he says he doesn't care about his wife, only his secret. Olivia then confesses that she has fallen in love with Borden. One night, after Borden's show, they set a trap and capture Fallon to interrogate him. Since he refuses to cooperate, he asks Borden for the secret of his trick to release him. Borden agrees, writing down the keyword for his trick, Tesla. So determined to uncover his secret, he decides to travel to America, a journey he will make alone. One day, while Sarah is waiting for her husband at a restaurant, he shows up with Olivia and Fallon. He's drunk and she's very upset. Her indignation grows when she sees Olivia calling him Freddie with such familiarity, leading to an argument with her husband. Edison's workers arrive at the hotel in Colorado Springs where Angier is staying. Angier continues reading Borden's diary, which recounts his first meeting with Olivia. She confessed her love for Angier and was very upset about being treated like a servant. He offered to help her be better than Angier, showing the audience there are no tricks and revealing his mutilated fingers when he disappears and reappears. Over time, their love grows and he confesses he loves and needs her, though he doubts her loyalty. He gets proof when she obeys and hands over the notebook, revealing Tesla is the key to his diary, not his trick, which he won't disclose. Angier feels mocked and goes to see Tesla for an explanation, thinking he's being fooled and that his money is just being used to stave off Tesla's ruin. Tesla maintains that science isn't exact, but assures him the machine will work, even though they tried to teleport a cat instead of his hat with the same result. But as he leaves in anger, he hears several cats and heads toward the meowing. He discovers there are indeed several cats and dozens of hats exactly like his own, meaning the machine works. Though not exactly as expected, Tesla states he'll need several weeks to fix the machine. Borden is affectionate with his daughter and Sarah, who tells him that today she can tell it's true, which makes it harder to cope when it's not. He asks Fallon to take his daughter to the zoo since he can't do it himself, begging him to make Sarah see that he loves her, though he leaves with Olivia afterward. Angier goes to see Tesla again, only to find that his laboratory has been destroyed and Tesla is gone. But the front desk clerk at the hotel tells him he hasn't mentioned the box to the men working for Thomas Edison. He finds that Tesla secretly left a huge box at the hotel for him, containing his valuable invention and a personal letter explaining that he was forced to leave Colorado before Edison's men destroyed his property. He leaves the machine with instructions for its use and a recommendation to destroy it, as it will only bring him misfortune. Borden reads in Angier's diary that he ignored Tesla's advice and used the machine. He then addresses Borden directly, telling him he's in the cell and will die for having murdered him. When Lord Codlow's lawyer visits him, Borden says the diary is a fake and isn't Angier's, to which the lawyer replies that it's been proven to be his handwriting. Borden gives the lawyer the first two parts of his tricks, but not the end, the prestige, demanding in exchange that they bring him his daughter so he can say goodbye. He remembers when he argued with Sarah because of Olivia, and how Sarah demanded he be honest with her, without any tricks. And when she asks if he loves her, he tells her not today. Sarah, tired of her life, then commits suicide. Angier informs Cutter that he is returning to perform in London with a brand new show for a limited engagement, asking him to be his manager for his upcoming performance of The Real Transported Man. Cutter convinces a businessman to finance the show, which he does after seeing Angier disappear from the stage and reappear behind him. Borden and Olivia talk, and she tells him that the day before Sarah's death, Sarah had asked to meet her, saying she had something to tell her about Alfred, though she didn't go. Alfred tells her he never truly loved Sarah and that she's the one he wants, though she reproaches him for being too cold and inhuman. She then tells him Angier has returned and suggests he see his show, as they're two of a kind. Borden is present at Angier's debut and listens as he explains that what he does isn't magic but science. He lets the audience examine the machine, from which he disappears, almost instantaneously reappearing at the back of the stage. Borden becomes obsessed with his trick, as he doesn't understand how he can travel 50 meters in a second, wondering why he's only going to perform 100 shows, seeing how they take the machine away every night, and asking Fallon why he can't figure out the trick, although he finally asks him not to keep coming to the show and to leave it alone, despite which in one of his performances, he slips in among the audience who go up to check the machine, after which he sneaks backstage after claiming he's part of the show, going to the area beneath the stage, seeing, as he already knew, that Angier falls through a trapdoor, although in doing so he falls into a water tank that was there and that closes automatically, without him, despite trying, being able to do anything to save his life. Cutter identifies his friend's body at the morgue, and shortly after Borden is found guilty of murder and sentenced to die by hanging. Owens, Lord Codlow's lawyer, goes to visit him at Cutter's request. Since his client acquired all of Angier's items, Cutter wishes to negotiate the purchase of the teleportation machine, although its new owner does not wish to sell it. Finally, Lord Codlow takes Jess to see Borden in prison, revealing the magic enthusiast is Angier himself. Borden cannot explain Angier's survival since he was the one who pulled him dead from the tank. Angier trades his trick secret, so he will leave his daughter alone. Although Borden tears up the paper, he admits he was the better magician, but that Angier has beaten him. At his home, he is visited by Cutter, who cannot believe he is still alive after having seen his corpse. Upon seeing Jess, he reproaches him for allowing Borden to be hanged for a crime he didn't commit since he is alive. Cutter tells him he was going to ask Lord Codlow to let him destroy the machine, with Angier telling him he agrees. Fallon visits Borden in jail, and he tells him he regrets many of the things he did, such as Sarah's death, asking him to live his life fully for both of them, being executed shortly after. Meanwhile, Cutter and Angier take the machine to the latter's theater to destroy it. Cutter leaves Angier alone, who is shot by a man, discovering it is Borden, who had just been hanged. He realizes it's a twin brother of the one with whom he explains he shared everything, being alternately Fallon or Borden, to the point that he cut off his brother's 2 fingers that he was missing to remain identical, although each of them loved a woman, the dead one, Olivia, and he, Sarah. He tells him that sacrifice is the price of a good trick, to which he replies that he sacrificed himself every night because Tesla's machine created a clone of himself every night that he had to finish off, drowning him in a water tank. Borden tells him he's traveled halfway around the world and spent a fortune for nothing, to which he says he did it to amaze the audience for a few seconds, after which he dies as the theater begins to burn, in whose basement are the tanks with the deceased Angier clones. Cutter continues explaining the 3 parts of the tricks to Jess. He reaches the final part, in which the magician must make what previously disappeared reappear, the part known as the Prestige, with Jess's father appearing at that very moment, just as he promised her when he went to see her in prison, taking her with him. The Prestige is a story about obsession, rivalry, and sacrifice. Nolan uses the world of magic as a metaphor to explore how far a human being is willing to go to achieve recognition, to surpass another, to reach perfection, even if it means destroying their own life. Each of the protagonists represents an extreme. Angier is the obsession with the spectacle, with the impact. Borden, the pure dedication to the art, the absolute commitment to the trick. Both cross ethical, emotional, and physical boundaries to surpass the other, and in that process they lose everything. The director also poses a disturbing idea, the price of maintaining an illusion that behind every great act there can be pain, renunciation, and lies sustained day after day. The viewer, like the trick's audience, wants to be amazed, but without knowing the cost. Ultimately, Nolan doesn't celebrate magic, but instead exposes its harshness. The prestige, that final moment of the trick that leaves everyone in awe, is only possible when someone has paid a very high price to achieve it.